Mr. Chairman, I want to start with a thank you, thank you, thank you. I have been asking for this hearing. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I think you all get the sense of how engaged members are on this. This really matters. I've got 3 BIE-operated schools in South Dakota, 19 tribally controlled. And part of the reason I'm so passionate about this is because I have been to these schools, I have talked to the tribal educators, and every single time the message, the passionate message from them is the same. These schools are underfunded, they are mismanaged, there are problems from one end of the situation to the other. And you can tell they care about these kids, and we're failing these kids. And so I want to thank you for elevating this issue so we can figure out a way to do better. And Ms. Sedney, in response to questioning from Mr. Biggs, indicated that, yeah, we should maybe not have the highest level of confidence on the deferred backlog amount because there are work orders that we don't have a lot of confidence in. What about the facilities condition index? Should we have confidence in that?
The facilities condition index is derived from the information in Maximo. So that is one concern that we noted in our reports, that the facility condition index may be incorrect. We first talked about this issue back in 2016, where we actually visited schools in the 3 different categories. So they're categorized, you know, as good, fair, or poor, and we found that they were not categorized correctly. So a school that was rated, purportedly rated good was not, in fact, in good condition. We're continuing to see those types of problems with the FCI index.
And of course, poor data out means, poor data in means poor data out, and there is an incredibly scarce pot of dollars. We've got 4 schools in South Dakota that are on the replacement list, and we want to make sure that they're properly prioritized. I've been there. They are absolutely in need of replacement. So we want a data system that we can count on. You mentioned 2016. I have been touched by the number of times in your testimony you've talked about the consistent engagement, the multi-year engagement in this broader BIE system, recommendations that were provided 5 years ago, 10 years ago. In general, how do you assess the responsiveness, the urgency of BIE to your recommendations?
I would say they are responsive. They are responding to our reports. They are making some progress in implementing our recommendations. However, as I mentioned, half of them remain unimplemented, some of them from 10 years ago.
Do we have a sense of what proportion are as of yet not addressed?
Half of them are unaddressed.
Half, yes.
Half, right. And some of those were new. Some of those, we just issued a report on Monday where we had 3 recommendations. So very brand new. But then, we have ones that are outstanding for 10 years. Not very many, but we are, again, working with BIE on a daily or monthly basis to make sure that they're making progress.
So, ma'am, Ms. Emery-Aras, again, Mr. Biggs asked about the 1/2 of COVID dollars that may have been misspent at risk of fraud, waste, abuse. What is Congress to do with that information?
I think having a hearing like you are today is helpful in terms of putting pressure on the department to implement our recommendation. They have the software to use to actually investigate those transactions. They just haven't done so. And so I think paying attention to this issue and highlighting it today is critical.
So what would, it honestly, it boggles the mind. I'm not blind to the realities of the world. I understand how many COVID era dollars were misspent, and yet I will still acknowledge to being blown away by the estimate of half in this instance. What would cause those dollars, what causes those to be flagged as a problem?
The software system would flag things that seem suspicious. For example, there's a maximum purchase limit of traditionally $10,000. So the idea is you're not supposed to have a more than $10,000 purchase, but sometimes people will get around that by having 2 $6,000 purchases or what have you. So having like smaller amounts to go over the threshold within a short period of time is a flag, because it looks like you're trying to get around it. So that's game playing. Some
of those may indeed be legitimate purchases. Some may actually be fraudulent, and so deeper investigation is necessary to figure it out. Well, Mr. Chair, before I would yield, I would just mention we got to do better by these kids. And Mr. Biggs talked about accountability. The contractors that insanely close these work orders without doing the work, yes, they should be held accountable. And then those who used these COVID-era funds fraudulently also need to be held accountable. That gives us the best opportunity of making sure that the men and women in the system in the future understand that they have to follow the rules and we have to do right by these students. Thank you, sir. I yield back.